It's 4:00 and we have a quorum. Let's call the meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is to establish a quorum. So we've got President Leonard, we have Treasurer Lemon, and we have Director Harper. No, Treasurer Harper.
Yeah.
Posting of the meeting, proof of posting, Mr. Secretary.
I would motion to waive the reading of the March 6th minutes as they were sent out with a link to the meeting with the video to the board members and residents. I need a second.
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you all. So I'm just trying to find the agenda. Sorry.
Okay, well, I can give you a hint. The first one is WSV, sliding door fixes, unit 50 nail and pipe, holding 10%. And there's Mr. Palmer.
Okay. Well, nothing's changed on that.
Okay.
Hello, David. Thanks for joining us. We've established our quorum and we've waived the reading of the previous minutes. And we're moving right on to the update from WSV on the sliding glass doors. As far as I know, they've been done. I really haven't been in contact with anybody. We're still holding the 10% until we get the permit signed off on. So unless anybody wants to talk about that, we're moving on to 4. Anybody? Okay. Windows. We said before we started the meeting, the update on the windows is 7 of the last 10 windows have been installed so far. The wood rot has been somewhat consistent of what they've seen in all the other units. There are 3 windows left to install. I'm being told by WSV as of this afternoon that they're expected to be there on Wednesday to install these last 3 windows. Soon as the windows are installed, stucco would come next, and then of course paint once the stucco cures. Anybody want to talk about that?
No, how are we on it just says may require an assessment. Update on that?
Yeah, so the last meeting I had with David's office before I left Florida, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, we did go over all the numbers, and it appeared as if we were going to have enough money to pay them the 10% we're holding back and cover the wood rot without any assessment. If we get somewhat creative and we use the painting fund money for painting. So WSV has basically painted the entire building with the restuccoing. Everything that's been restuccoed has been painted. So it's a fresh coat of paint on the entire front and pretty much the entire back of the building. The only walls that haven't been painted are the 2 end walls, or 4 end walls with the 2 buildings that have no windows or just flat walls. So I did ask WSV to separate what they're charging us for painting from the repair work, so that in essence we can use our reserve funds that we have from painting to cover the painting part of the bill.
And just from management perspective, when this whole project is done, we may want to use whatever's left in the painting to just finish the other end of the buildings, the part that hasn't been painted. The part about painting, why we do it every 7 to 8 years, is to seal the windows and seal the doors. Well, new doors and new windows that are recently sealed re-triggers that 7 to 8 year amortization period. So my recommendation to you guys, this is not something that's going to happen soon. It's just when we're done, whatever we've reallocated, if there's money left to just paint the end sides that haven't been painted, we might be able to restart the clock to another 7 years after we've painted the ends. And that will have a positive net benefit on the amount that we're reserving, because we can kick that paint reserve number back up to 7 or 8 years. That's the denominator on that cost. And that should have a positive net effect if we've actually done the whole building. Because again, like I said, the most important part of painting is sealing the building. The whole part of painting every 7 to 8 years is to make sure the windows and doors aren't leaking.
It's not aesthetics, it's to keep it from leaking. And
Exactly.
keep that skin on it.
Yes, sir.
We have all new doors and windows. They've all recently been caulked and everything's been recently painted around them.
So I would not have an objection to resetting that clock as long as I can say, yes, okay, well, we've painted the back, we've painted the front, everything's been recaulked. You guys make a decision as to whether or not the ends of the buildings need to be repainted, because I don't believe there's any caulking that needs to be done on the ends. I can't remember if there's windows on the ends.
There are no windows on the ends. The only thing there might be on the ends that need caulking, or some of the pointing in the cement block work.
So maybe we do that, and whether or not we need to paint it again, then we can readdress and maybe be able to manage the reserve portion of the painting in a more economical manner.
We haven't received the bills from WSV, for any of that yet, other than
not to my knowledge.
Just the first round that we've already agreed to pay and I've already paid. So it won't be until we get the second round in. And
I don't think you're going to be able to make a decision today. I just wanted you guys to understand that those are my thoughts, and it may be a way to manage our budget a little better.
We can't really make
great
a decision on the hypothetical anyway, because we don't have the bills yet. Once we get them, we'll make a decision on how we're going to pay them. All right. Anybody else want to talk about windows? All right. So we'll move on. The next thing on the old agenda was the north building roof and the AC units on the said roof, and doing inspections to the roofs, which I think we kind of discussed, and I thought we put that to bed at the March meeting. The roofer he said, basically, we don't need to attach them to the roof because we're grandfathered. If we attach them to the roof, a roofer's got to do it, because the AC people don't want to attach them to the roof and penetrate the membrane and ruin our warranty. Not that we have a warranty on that roof. But their recommendation was basically keep them as low as possible, because when you put them up on the stands, they're more vulnerable to high winds. And you can't anchor the stands to the roof properly.
Well, you can, but yeah, I've been through that post Ian with a number of buildings that had roof condenser units on top of the roof, obviously, roof condenser unit. And you have to go to a 24-inch stand, which, as Rob was saying, lifts it up into the wind. And if we're not being forced to do it, our insurance policy covers if they get blown off. So when we have to bring it back, I believe that we have and I'm going from memory, I believe we have the coverage that it's law and ordinance coverage, which means, to bring it to code, we said grandfather, to bring it to code, you have to install the stands. And basically that's a whole, it's not an inexpensive thing. You have to actually remove them all, set them on the ground, which means a crane, put the stands on, reinstall them. It's a big job. And if nobody is forcing us to do it at this point, we're insured for it. We're grandfathered. If the insurance company has not told us we're going to be canceled without it, I agree with Rob that we should leave it as a wait and see.
If we're insured, I'd leave it like it is.
I'm confused, or not confused, but curious. If the AC unit comes off my roof, is that the CBV insurance or is that my
Yes.
insurance? Okay.
Basically, what it is if it's an insurable event, our hazard insurance covers it. Wear and tear does not. And that's the other next thing. If AC unit wears out before the next storm, which knock on wood, that's 20 years from now, then the person who's replacing their AC unit would have to bring it to code at their own expense, which means it's not an association expense. They install the stand, have it installed correctly, and that would not be an association expense.
It's basically what's going on is people are replacing them and they're being put on the 24-inch stands, which is, great. Okay, everybody's kind of doing it to code, except for the fact that those stands aren't anchored to the roof. And they are more vulnerable up higher without a proper anchor to them.
Well, they should. I mean, if they were actually being inspected, which if you're pulling a permit, they should be.
Yeah,
they're
but
supposed to be anchored to the roof, and they're supposed to be sealed adequately
the city
once they've been
don't
anchored.
go on the roof.
But it is not a liability of the association if a replaced AC unit was not done to code, was not permitted, or whatever it is. We're only responsible when they're blown off in a storm that is covered by our insurance. So I don't see any reason why we need to go back and preemptively address this issue if our insurance company hasn't come in and said, you must. Realizing the caveat to that is if we renew our insurance with a new insurance company and the inspector comes out, you sign the deal, they come out to inspect it and they say, hey, you're required for your insurance company to do this. We may end up with a big expense that we didn't expect.
But we address
That's
that.
the risk. And at that point, if we don't have the money to do it, we may have to do an assessment to bring it to code. However, I've been doing this for 10 years, and the ones that aren't anchored have never, I have yet to been required to do that with any of the associations that have these on the roof. That doesn't mean that they won't, and they won't change the rules. That's a risk, but you guys need to be aware that that's the risk. But, spend money later, spend money now. We don't have the money now, so I'm of the opinion we wait and spend the money later.
I don't see any reason to go after anything that hasn't been brought to our attention to go after, really. And, my AC people that I did speak to them about it in depth, and I think they gave me a quote of around $1,600, I think, to lift them up, but that wasn't going to anchor it to the roof. And the roofing company said, they'd probably charge just as much. So it is a big amount of money. And if we don't need to do it, I don't even know why we're talking about it.
I agree.
Yeah, it's not a association issue. We're not being forced. It's not, we're grandfathered. And if unit owners want to do that on their own dime,
So
we're not going to get in their way.
I would say we can take that off the agenda for next month. That, it's
All right. I have no problem with that. The reason this is on the agenda is because we were going to get a quote. And
a lot of it had to do with the roof inspection, which we did do. And that's why I thought this was put away. We got
right, but then we said we were going to get a quote to see how much it would be to actually do the installs, to secure them.
which is probably what it says, Daniel to follow up. But
Yep.
we haven't had Daniel in the last 2 months. So
Yep.
if you want to leave it on there for Daniel to follow up on next month.
Nope, it's gone.
All right.
The other issue, and I'll just raise this, and David, you can answer this. And I forgot who put in the south building roof. if we have a problem with that years down the road, are they going to say, well, you didn't have yearly inspections?
Elaborate on that, because I don't think I understand the question.
Are yearly inspections a prerequisite for the continued 20-year warranty of our roof?
That's a question that has to do, because the warranty is a manufacturer's warranty. It's not a installation warranty. From my experience, whether you do the inspections or not, they're going to do everything they can to get out of even with inspections, most of those warranties are worthless. Okay. It's going to be like, oh, well, they've separated in the edges. That's not a manufacturer's defect. That is a wear and tear item. So you have to make a decision as to doing it. I mean, the nice thing about that is if you're inspecting it every year and some of the seals come loose from where the material is affixed to each other, to itself, that can save you leak problems. So the benefit is not to maintain the warranty. The benefit is to prevent leaks that require us to repair. Okay. So I would not be making the decision as to whether or not we're going to do an annual inspection based on whether or not that will maintain the warranty, because the warranties, 5-10 years down the road are worthless. I mean, they're going to find a reason to invalidate the warranty regardless of whether you did an inspection or not. It's a I mean, if the stuff is flaking in the middle, nowhere near an edge, which it never does, maybe you could make a claim to the warranty where it's a material has not held up in the sun or
we do hold, I believe it's a 7-year workmanship warranty. So it would be
if it says it's 7-year in the workmanship, but it requires the maintenance contract where you go out and do it, maybe that makes sense.
Discussed this and agreed that we would get the roofs inspected annually, at least for now. And, I'd like to stick to that.
Yeah. I was just trying to answer the question that I thought I was asked. I may have misunderstood it.
I don't know if you did or not, and you hopefully did answer it. But as far as the inspections go, I'm all for inspecting annually. And I don't know, when does that come up? When did we actually finish that roof? Anybody?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Look into it. All right, the next thing on the agenda, and he's not in the meeting, but Unit 42 requested permission to put down a paver patio behind their unit. With them not here to discuss it further, we did talk a little bit about it while we were waiting for last month's meeting because he was there available. And he doesn't want to do anything more grand or anything different than what Mark did behind his unit. So I figure, as a board, we've already set precedent out there as far as patios, and I have no reason to stop him from doing what Mark did behind his place.
Motion to approve Unit 42 patio pavers pursuant to the drawing that he sent us.
Did he send a drawing?
Yeah, I sent it to you last month. It was part of the minutes.
Oh. So my only concerns, which I did mention to him, is the irrigation system. There is sprinklers back there. And if the patio interferes with the irrigation at all, I just want to make sure that he's responsible for any.
Yeah, I would modify that motion that any adjustment to the irrigation system to not spray his new patio is an expense that will be borne by that unit owner.
With
I'll accept that friendly amendment.
With that amendment, do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you, Arnold. All right,
Yeah.
in favor?
Aye.
All right, so it's unanimous. I don't remember the fellow's name, but inform the owners of 42 that they can do their patio so long as it's within there.
I do have another business item just to bring you up to speed when you get, it's not on the agenda, but when you get to that section, I don't know if you guys have other business, but I had a conversation that I need to tell you about.
Okay, well, the item 6 was the last thing on our agenda. Item 7 is usually any new business, although I don't like new business at these meetings. But what do you got, Dave?
I had a conversation with Diane and her son. They're attempting to sell the unit. They're delinquent. He asked me for something that, as an association, we can't grant. Put that out there as forward as like, look, we're not going to be able to pay dues because they're 3 months delinquent. Their notice that it's going to the attorney next month went out. That constituted a call. I had a conversation with them, basically explaining that they were saying, can we just go on hiatus of payment? We've got it listed. We've lowered the price. We're trying to dump this thing. Can we pay you when it sells? And what I told him was, legally, I cannot offer a payment plan to somebody who has not yet gone to the attorney because you have to actually be paying more than everybody else to get terms from us. What I did tell him was, look, it's not going, you have a whole nother month before it goes to the attorney and collections, and that additional $250 to $275 for the first letter of the collection process gets added to your bill. If it sells in that period of time, you're fine. After that point, we may be able to tell the attorney, because once you're paying more than, this is what the deal is I can't tell somebody, hey, you don't have to pay your assessment, and the other 12 or 15 of you, or the other 14 unit owners, I have to be able to, if you're not paying something for that, then everybody else can do the same thing, and then we're in a world of hurt. So what I told Diane and I told her son, and forgive me because I've forgotten what his name is, was, expedite your sale, try to get out of it. I will slow walk it to the attorney when it happens. And I will have a conversation with the attorney that, instead of sending it on the first of next month, I'll send it middle of the month or whatever it is. Give them plenty of, that gives them 45 days to try to sell this thing at a lower reduced price. And instead of, but when I can't stop that process. Realizing you guys can tell me to stop that process. However, I highly recommend that you don't, because it opens you up to a lot of problems if another member finds out what you actually did. So
Yeah, so with all that said, as you know, we record these meetings, so the thoughts are already out there.
yeah.
No, we're not going to make any special provisions.
Yeah. So, basically all I'm saying is I'm not doing anything different than anybody else. We don't send, it doesn't go until after the 15th of the month. So that means I'll be transmitting this to the attorney on the 15th of the month. And when we transmit it to the attorney, we will tell them that the unit is listed for sale and that, yes, do what we normally do everywhere else. But the likelihood is this thing is going to sell soon. My understanding is that she's just dropped the price $10,000 or $15,000 to $160. I don't know if that's a good price or a bad price. Apparently, the last one that sold out there was at $175. And just bringing that to your attention, that was a conversation I had the day before yesterday.
All right. Being it's my family and all, I'm going to probably recruit, whatever. I don't want to really be involved in this. It was unaware, and yeah.
I've known Diane for 15 years, and the problem is my heart definitely goes out to them, but I have to treat every unit owner exactly the same.
No, that's all
But-
understood. And, we're here for the entire association and, not one individual. As much as my heart goes out to them, it is what it is at this point. Where do we stand? If I'm not mistaken, we kind of depleted our contingency budget line in order to keep the expenses low. I don't know that we really have a non-paying contingency budget line anymore. So
it's going to impact us the longer it goes on.
right.
From everything I've understand is I'm hoping. I mean, I am seeing the sales market has picked up considerably. I completed 4 separate estoppels today.
So tell me something.
Okay.
As far as it going to the lawyers, it's going to the lawyers because it's 3 months behind?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a standard
If they-
practice, which
if they
basically
If they made one payment, would that stop it from going to
they'd still be 3 months behind. Their balance would be less. And I actually had that conversation as well, where, we've sent the letter of notice that it's going to the lawyer has already been mailed. Okay, that's what drove the conversation. Why they called me was, hey, you're 3 months down. Next month you're getting a letter from the attorney, which is going to add to your balance. They called and asked me for a workout plan. We cannot do workout plans without additional cost. At least I'm oversimplifying, but the lawyers, I've been through that many times with many different associations. It says it has to be in legal collections where this is, yes, we can work out a plan with them once the attorney has it. So what I'm just letting you guys know, and if you don't have any objections, that I'll let the attorney know that maybe we say, okay, here's a workout plan. We understand you've got it, because once the attorney has it, we can offer a workout plan that says, okay, make a payment every 2 months while you're trying to sell this. You have 6 months to sell it. Is what I'm envisioning that'll come to. But I wanted to get it on record that this is where we are with this particular unit.
What unit number is that? Rob, what
I
unit
don't know it
is
off the
that?
top of my head. 52, I think, 55, something like that.
52?
So we're not to that portion. The way things are moving right now, there's a lot of stuff selling. There's a lot of people making moves to do this. I mean, in the last month, I've probably done 30 different estoppels for various associations. Sales have not necessarily I mean, at this point in the year, after season's over, this is high. I don't know if it's because there's a lot of distressed sales, but the market is moving. People are looking, people are buying. So maybe this will resolve itself before we have to talk about it again next month.
Yes, I think it could. I need to talk to my cousin and my aunt, myself, and I think we can hopefully make a solution here. Okay, anybody else got anything they want to talk about? All right, then. That said,
Next meeting, Friday, June 5th.
I will not be available for that meeting. I might have Anthony attend in my stead.
Friday, June 5th. So we're going back to the first Friday again? Because this is the second Friday. And last month was the second Friday.
We can certainly go to the second Friday. No problem.
Does that make a difference for you, David?
Let me look. So
Friday, June
It would be-
12th.
yeah, I'm gone June 5th through June 9th. I will be back on the 12th if that's what you're looking at.
I mean, there's no reason to have a meeting in 3 weeks. We really have nothing on the agenda at this point to even talk about. So I would say let's keep it on the second Friday for now.
Okay,
So it would be June 12th at 4 o'clock. Assuming we have something on the agenda to talk about by then.
Yeah.
Excellent. A motion to adjourn at 4:30.
Second?
Thank you, Arnold.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all for your participation.